Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving into something pretty unique today, something you specifically requested.
Oh, cool.
John Dee's Hieroglyphic Monad.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, this isn't exactly, light beach reading this. Is a deep dive in the truest sense of the word. It's dense, symbol-packed, and honestly, a bit mind-bending at times.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's a journey into a world where math and astronomy and the occult all kind of swirl together.
Yeah.
Clearly, you're the kind of person who likes to, dig beneath the surface and find the hidden meanings.
I do.
So get ready for some aha moments as we decode Dee's vision of the cosmos, or at least try to.
I'm ready.
Great.
I think what's so fascinating about Dee is that he really embodies that Renaissance ideal. He was a mathematician, astronomer, advisor to Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah.
And he was a dabbler in the occult.
It's like he had his fingers in every pie.
Exactly. And with this monad, he's trying to create a symbolic language for the very essence of the universe.
Ambitious, to say the least.
Yes, very ambitious.
So he kicks things off in theorem by stating that the line and the circle are the most fundamental shapes, able to represent, anything in existence. He even says, those things which are hidden under the veils of nature.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Why start with something so simple?
Well, I think Dee's drawing on a tradition that goes way back to the ancient philosophers and mystics who saw the circle as representing perfection, the eternal, the divine. The line then becomes the embodiment of creation. It's the way that something comes into being, manifests from nothingness. He's saying, in a way, these two simple forms are the very building blocks of reality.
So it's not just geometry, it's like a cosmic blueprint.
Yes, exactly.
But then he gets even more specific in theorems the second and third.
Right.
He says that the point is essential because it gives birth to the line. And then he links this to the universe itself, saying the central point is Earth with everything else revolving around it. It seems odd considering, Copernicus was already challenging that idea.
Yeah, you've hit on a really fascinating tension there.
Yeah.
While Copernicus was proposing a heliocentric model, Dee was still working within that dominant worldview. The Ptolemaic system, where the Earth is the center.
Right.
I think it shows how even these brilliant minds are shaped by the prevailing knowledge of their time.
Yeah, definitely makes you wonder what blinders we might have on today that we don't even realize.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so moving on to theorems the eth and v, Dee introduces the sun and the moon. The sun, represented by a circle with a dot at the center, is the ruler, while the moon, a semicircle, reflects the sun's light. Now he even connects this back to Genesis, saying the morning and the evening were the first day.
Interesting.
Implying a link between the creation of light and the philosophical work he's doing.
Wow.
Is he talking about a literal day here, or is it more symbolic?
That's a million-dollar question with Dee, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, he was a master at weaving together scientific thought and mystical beliefs and religious symbolism.
Like all in one?
Yeah, all in one. I think it's likely he saw that creation story as an allegory for his philosophical and spiritual journey. As he's laying it out in the monad.
Right.
So the first day, then, could represent the separation of light from darkness. Mirroring the way knowledge emerges from ignorance within an individual.
Yeah, like he's creating this language where science and spirituality are speaking the same dialect.
Exactly. And it only gets more fascinating from here.
Oh, I believe it.
Because in Theorem the Sixth, things get really interesting. He introduces the cross, which supports the sun and the moon. And get this, he says it can represent the numbers 3, 4, 8, and even 7.
Wait, what? How?
Through some pretty clever geometric and numerical manipulation.
Whoa.
It's wild. He also connects the cross to the 4 elements, stating that they can be resolved back to their primal state along these lines.
So hold up. How does a cross become all those numbers?
And what's this about elements returning to their places? Well, Dee's numerical symbolism is incredibly intricate. To illustrate, let's take the cross with its 4 points. Now, Dee assigns a numerical value to each point. And then he manipulates these values through addition, subtraction, multiplication, using the lines of the cross as a guide. to arrive at these numbers like 3, 4, and 8.
So the cross is like a numerical playground where he's creating these symbolic equations.
Precisely.
That's amazing.
As for the elements returning to their places, Dee's referring to that ancient concept of earth, air, fire, and water.
Right.
As the fundamental building blocks of the world.
Right.
He's suggesting these elements can be reduced back to their purest form through a process guided by the symbolism of the cross.
So each element has like a home base it can return to.
Yes, exactly.
Man, this is getting complex.
I know.
But I'm hooked. So then, in Theorems the Seventh Denies, he dives deeper into this numerical system, connecting the cross to the number 10, the decade. He also brings in the zodiac sign of Aries, the ram.
Interesting.
Saying it signifies the importance of fire in his monad.
Dee's choice of Aries is key here. It's the first sign in the zodiac.
Right.
Symbolizing beginnings, raw energy, and action.
Right.
And fire, in the alchemical tradition, represents transformation. That process of purifying and breaking down the old to create something new.
So fire's like the engine driving the whole process of creation and transformation.
Exactly.
Both in the universe and within ourselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this really sets the stage for Dee's next move, where he introduces his symbols for the planets.
Oh, can't wait for that.
Me too.
This is wild.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so we're going to dive into those planetary symbols and a whole lot more when we come back.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned.
Okay. So picking back up with Theorems X through Thirth, Dee lays out his hieroglyphic symbols for the planets. All derived from combinations of his core elements: sun, moon, cross, and Aries.
Right.
But he gives special attention to Mercury.
Interesting.
Calling it the Mercury of the philosophers and the greatly celebrated microcosm and atom.
Whoa. Those are some loaded terms.
Yes, they are.
What's he getting at here?
Well, with microcosm and atom, it sounds like we're stepping into deep philosophical territory.
Yeah. Is he suggesting that Mercury is like a miniature human being?
He's tapping into the Hermetic concept of the microcosm-macrocosm. The idea that humans are a reflection of the universe, containing within them the same forces that govern the cosmos.
That's a powerful concept.
It is. And think of the famous saying, as above, so below.
Right.
Now, in alchemy, Mercury holds a special place. It's seen as the transformative substance, the agent of change that facilitates the purification and perfection of matter.
So Mercury is like the catalyst that makes transformation possible.
Precisely.
On both a universal scale and within each of us.
Exactly. And this idea of transformation, it's at the very heart of Dee's work.
Okay, so we're seeing how these symbols build upon each other.
Yes.
Like layer upon layer of meaning.
Right.
What happens next in Dee's exploration?
Well, in Theorems 4t through Fsteeth, Dee shifts his focus to the astrological influences of the sun and moon, linking them to the signs of Aries and Taurus, specifically their exaltations.
Their exaltations.
Yes, these are points of heightened power for each celestial body.
I don't think I'm familiar with that.
Okay, well, imagine the zodiac as a landscape.
Yeah, right.
And each planet is strongest when it's in a specific location. For the sun, that's Aries, while for the moon, it's Taurus.
I see.
Dee's suggesting that these astrological positions further enhance the powers he's already attributed to the sun and moon within his monad.
Wow, it's incredible how much meaning Dee packs into these seemingly simple symbols.
I know, it's really remarkable.
I'm realizing that so much of his work is about how these different symbols and numbers interact with each other.
Yeah.
It's like a secret language he's created.
That's a great way to put it. Dee's approach is what we call syncretic.
Syncretic?
Yeah, he's blending ideas from various traditions. Astronomy, astrology, numerology, and alchemy.
So to understand his work, you have to be willing to shift your perspective constantly.
Exactly.
To see the connections between these seemingly disparate concepts.
Precisely.
It's like a puzzle where each piece reveals another layer of meaning.
It is.
What happens in the next set of theorems?
Well, in Theorem 7 through 96, through Inet X, Dee continues his numerical explorations of the cross, arriving at the number 252 through a series of complex calculations.
252, okay.
Yeah. For example, he takes the number 10, which he associates with the cross, squares it to get 100, then multiplies that by 2.52, a number with astrological significance, to arrive at 252.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's just one example of how he weaves together numerical and astrological concepts. Okay, cool. Then he throws us a curveball by telling the story of an eagle and a scarab.
Oh.
which seems to be an allegory for the alchemical process.
Okay, this story sounds super symbolic.
It is. It is.
What's your take on it?
Well, it's definitely ripe for interpretation.
Right.
The eagle, known for its soaring flight and sharp vision, could represent volatile substances.
Okay.
Those that easily transform or escape.
Right.
While the scarab, a creature that diligently rolls its dung ball across the earth, could represent the patient, transformative work of the alchemist.
Oh, I see.
And remember, in ancient Egypt, the scarab was a symbol of rebirth and resurrection.
So it's like the scarab is using its ingenuity and persistence to overcome the eagle's raw power.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah. So what does Dee say after this intriguing story?
Well, in theorems XX and XXI, he brings us back to the importance of the central point, connecting it not only to the four elements, but also to the concept of the divine trinity in Christianity. And he emphasizes these concepts of purification and transformation, hinting at the alchemical process of perfecting matter.
So it sounds like we're getting to the core of what Dee's after here.
Yeah.
The transformation of something base into something pure.
Right.
Both on a material and spiritual level.
Yes.
Is that what alchemy is all about?
That's a great way to sum it up.
Cool.
While alchemy was certainly concerned with manipulating physical substances, it also had this deep spiritual dimension. For alchemists like Dee, the transformation of physical matter mirrored the process of spiritual purification and the attainment of higher knowledge.
Wow. So the alchemist's work in the lab is like a metaphor for the inner work of spiritual growth and evolution.
Exactly.
Amazing. So what happens in the final few theorems?
Well, in theorems 2, 6, and XE3, Dee gets practical. Describing the vessels and materials used in his sacred art, and providing detailed measurements and proportions for their construction.
So he's like giving us blueprints for building our own alchemical laboratory?
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
He even includes diagrams with labels for each component.
Wow. But I have a feeling these aren't just ordinary tools and containers.
You're right. Remember, for Dee, everything had multiple layers of meaning.
Right.
The alchemical vessels and materials likely represent internal spiritual processes, as well as external physical ones.
Nice.
For example, the alembic,
a
device used for distillation, could symbolize the process of purifying the soul through introspection and contemplation.
Oh, wow. So even the act of creating these vessels becomes symbolic ritual.
Exactly.
Reflecting the inner work of the alchemist.
Yes, and this attention to detail, this meticulousness, it's so characteristic of Dee's approach.
Yeah, it's like he's inviting us into a world where every symbol, every number, every measurement holds a deeper meaning. Yeah, it's like he created this intricate map of the cosmos, but instead of, geographical features, it's filled with symbols and numbers and alchemical processes.
Right, and what's fascinating is that he doesn't just present this map as like a finished product,
Yeah.
He leaves it open for us to explore, to interpret and to add our own understanding to it.
I like this. So in theorem XD4, the final theorem, he emphasizes the number 24. Connecting it to the 24 hours of the day, the 24 elders in the book of Revelation, and of course the completion of his 24 theorems.
Right.
It feels very deliberate, wrapping it up with a number that represents a complete cycle.
Absolutely. Dee saw profound significance in numbers. He believed they held inherent power and meaning.
Right.
Ending with 24 really reinforces that idea of wholeness.
Yeah.
Of a system that encompasses all aspects of existence.
And he signs off with a prayer, too.
He does.
Further blurring the line between his scientific and spiritual pursuits.
Yeah, it's clear that for Dee, these weren't separate realms.
No, not at all. His whole approach was about finding the connections, the unity underlying everything.
Exactly. And that's one of the most significant takeaways from the Hieroglyphic Monad, I think. It's not just a collection of symbols and theorems.
Right.
It's a call to see the world differently, to recognize the interconnectedness of all things.
It's like he's handing us a set of lenses that allow us to see the hidden patterns.
Yes.
The deeper meanings woven into the fabric of reality.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And he challenges us to become active participants in that process of understanding. Rather than just passive recipients of knowledge.
So he wants us to really grapple with these symbols.
Yes.
Wrestle with their ambiguity, draw our own connections.
Exactly. It's not about finding the right answer.
Yeah.
but about the journey of exploration itself.
That makes it even more exciting.
It does.
Though also a bit daunting.
Right.
Where do we even begin to unravel such a complex system?
Well, that's the beauty of it. There's no one right path. Dee provides the framework, the building blocks.
Right.
But it's up to us to arrange them, to find the patterns that resonate with our own understanding.
So we each create our own version of the monad based on our individual, perspectives and insights.
In a way, yes, Dee's work encourages us to develop our own symbolic literacy, to become fluent in the language of the universe.
That's a powerful idea.
It is.
It's like he's saying, don't just take my word for it. Go out and explore for yourself. Find your own meaning in these symbols.
Precisely. And in that process, we might just discover something new.
Okay.
Not only about the universe, but about ourselves. Dee's hieroglyphic monad isn't just a historical artifact.
Right.
It's a living, breathing system of thought that continues to resonate with those who dare to delve into its mysteries.
Yeah, it's a reminder that the search for knowledge, for understanding, is an ongoing adventure.
It is.
And sometimes the greatest discoveries are the ones we make about ourselves along the way.
Well,
So, to everyone listening, if you're feeling inspired to explore Dee's monad, we encourage you to dive in. Don't be intimidated by its complexity. Embrace the challenge. Let your curiosity guide you and see what insights you uncover.
Yes.
And remember, as with any deep dive, the most important thing is to enjoy the journey.
Happy exploring.
Until next time on The Deep Dive.